Hello everybody, thank you for joining me and I hope you're doing well. Today's daf is Shevuot Daf 24 Amud A. So let's dive straight in. The Gemara answers, Reish Lakish could say to you, when we say that a more inclusive prohibition which adds additional aspects to the prohibition for the same individual can take effect when there's already prohibition in place, it's with regard to a prohibition that occurs on its own, like the prohibition against eating on Yom Kippur, which is more inclusive than the prohibition against eating non-kosher food, and therefore takes effect. But with regard to a prohibition that occurs by the act of a person himself, i.e. an oath or vow, we do not say that because it is more inclusive it can take effect. Also with regard to items that are already forbidden by Torah law. The Gemara asks, according to Reish Lakish, who understands the mission to be dealing with a case of one who took an oath about less than a full measure, it is due to this reason that Rabbi Shimon deemed him exempt, one who takes an oath prohibiting himself from eating non-kosher food. As is taught in the Braita, Rabbi Shimon says, any amount is sufficient to render one liable to receive lashes, and the sages say that a measure of an olive book to determine only liability to bring an offering. According to Reish Lakish, Rabbi Shimon holds that one is already under oath from Mount Sinai, even with regard to less than a full measure. And for that reason, the oath does not take effect. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, who understands the mission to be referring to an oath that includes ernst while permitted items, what is the reason Rabbi Shimon deemed one exempt from bringing an offering for breaking his oath not eating non-kosher food? The Gemara answers, isn't the reason that the first Tana holds that the individual is liable for violating his oath only due to the fact that the oath generates a more inclusive prohibition? In this matter, Rabbi Shimon confirms to his standard line of reasoning in that he does not hold that a more inclusive prohibition takes effect where a pre-existing prohibition is in place. This is according with that which is taught in a Braita. Rabbi Shimon says, one who eats non-kosher meat on Yom Kippur is exempt from bringing an offering for eating on Yom Kippur, despite the fact that the prohibition against eating on Yom Kippur is a more inclusive prohibition than that of eating non-kosher meat, as on that day one may not eat anything. From the verse, or if anyone take an oath clearly with his lips to do evil or to do good in Leviticus 5:4, the sage derived that one is liable to bring an offering for an oath or an utterance only when the oath is such that it can be inverted from a positive to the negative or vice versa. For example, one is liable for violating an oath to eat because one can also take an oath not to eat. The Gemara asks, and granted, according to the opinion of Reish Lakish, you find a case where the oath can be negative or positive. Therefore, one is liable, according to the rabbis, when he takes an oath that he will eat any amount, since he could also take an oath that he will not eat any amount. But according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, granted, if you find a case of a negative oath, the oath not to eat non-kosher animals takes effect when it includes other erstwhile permitted items. But how can you find a positive version of this oath? An oath to eat non-kosher animals can take effect, as eating